I got the frame and body separated. I put the frame on the lift. The arms on the max jacks, believe it or not, won't reach the frame. So I'm just having to straddle it. I do have a rotisserie. I was thinking about putting the frame on that, but it's just a lot of extra hassle, and I just really need to have it supported up off the ground high enough so I can get to all the welds, finish all my welding up, and I can still flip it upside down on the timbers. So this side I haven't taken apart yet because I had put it all back together to mock it up, and sure enough, I had a hunch that those shocks, even though they're plumb and square and nice, look nice, they're in the way of the axle that comes through here up to there. So you can kind of see that the springs are going to definitely, I mean, it was like close, but they definitely would hit. So I already tested out the other side. I ended up moving these mounts back like probably to like from here to here, so the center of this is like kind of with that line right there. I don't know what that line is. It might be some random mark. So I moved it about maybe an inch and a quarter, inch and a half back. So they're canted a little bit, so now they're out of the way of the axle shafts. Plenty of room there. So plan is to get that other side apart, tear down the front end, and then finish welding all the cross members, the front suspension component, you know, the hangers, and then finish welding, clean up all this back here. I got to do something for body mounts. Those are the old body mounts, but I mean, they're kind of rusty. I guess I could make new ones. I could just sandblast those and clean them up nice and weld them on. I'm gonna weld the cross member for a transmission. I guess I should put a cross member in here because I mean the transmission cross member, all that, it's not really super structural as far as the frame is concerned. So you could probably use another one, you know, in here somewhere. So, but just keep going. Making some progress on the final welding. So I got the bushings all welded up and smoothed off. I got some of the major welds done on the cross members and smoothed out. Because again, I'm a better grinder than I am a welder, so just trying to make sure I got good welds and then clean them up. So getting pretty close to flipping the frame back upside down, and then I can tie up some of the bottom welds that need to be done. Well, this turned into more of a metal art project than a suspension build. Lots and lots of hours welding, fitting, grinding, smoothing. It's still not done. Still a lot of cleanup to do. Still a couple brackets to finish. I mean, I think it's coming out good, but the number of hours I got to put into it have been really high. But that's what I wanted to do, so it's all on me. And as long as it works, I'm happy. I think I'm going to add another gusset in here just for that tab. And then I got to finish. I'm going to cut this open, square it off, and box it in on the inside, and then I'll put the brackets for the upper control arm mounts. I just kind of hacked them open real easy, real quick with the plasma cutter. Just, it was hard to get to, it was upside down, couldn't see, so I just hacked it open so I could make clearance when I was mocking it up originally. Cross members welded in now. I got a third leg put on the two front strut towers. Spent some time cleaning up, smoothing all those welds. So, I mean, it's come along really well. It's come a long way, but it's taken a lot of hours and a lot of time. But I think the final product will be worth it in the long run. Got the upper arm brackets recessed into a pocket and fabricated. Need some cleanup of the welds. I'm not the best welder. Got some other braces put in. Redid how those brackets look. Much happier with those. Much cleaner. So making some pretty good progress. Just a little, you know, keep trimming and finding areas that need to be, you know, touched up welding and grinding and smoothing, and there's tons of little nooks and crannies and crevices that have to be kind of cleaned up. So, but the majority of it, it's pretty much all structurally good, and it's just cosmetic at this point. So I think it's coming out really well. The aftermarket subframe came with a couple extension pieces that would bolt on to the Mustang, and it turns out I was able to just kind of cut the ends off and repurpose them, and they lined up really well with the new frame, so a little extra support will be good. So I got them just kind of tacked in place and just got to finish welding them up now, but I think that's going to work out real well. About ready to wrap up the frame for right now. I have another project coming in soon, so I was able to finish welding up some extra plates to kind of clean it up a little bit. I still have a lot of grinding and smoothing to do, but I think that'll do the job. At the front end, got an extra support bar on there. Got a lot of the welds ground down, smoothed off. So I think we're going to put everything back on it, suspension, engine, and then get it out of the shop here. And I got another project coming in for somebody. Needs some paint on a Mustang, so I'll jump on that for maybe a couple months, and then hopefully get back on the truck. Now that I got everything welded up and everything kind of smooth, I still got some more to do, but I'm going to be bringing in another project, so I got to get this back together so I can roll it out of here, which is actually okay, because I want to make, you know, it's always good to keep double checking, triple checking, refitting, make sure everything's going to fit. I got these center bars in, I got those kind of smoothed off a little better. Got some of these welds ground down. I got these rear bars welded in to extra support. I think that worked out really well. One little thing that I was thinking about, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to put the rear end in, put the axles in, and at least this way it's all kind of someplace to store it, because I don't have a lot of storage space, and it's not going to be in my way. Plus I can double check, you know, fitment and alignment and ride height. One thing I'm finding, you know, and all this extra welding and bracing that I put on, you know, these tabs, moved a little bit, and these crazy A-arms are like triangulated to go in here and here at the same time, so they don't really go in well. The angles, it's like it doesn't go in, so you got to kind of twist them around. So if these are too tight at all, it just won't slide in. So what I'm doing is just putting in like a jack screw and just jacking them apart, and then it'll give it a little extra room. And then when you tighten the bolts down, it'll squeeze those brackets. I mean, these are heavy brackets. You don't even see this. I don't know. Yeah, and factories don't ever use anything near this thick. So, but that'll let those fit in a little easier. And then I can put the rest of the suspension in and put the body back on, engine in, and then it'll be kind of assembled so I can move it out of here and bring in another project. Got the chassis reassembled. I've got some temporary struts once and for all fitted up so that everything's at ride height according to the Mustang specifications. I got to put the body back on now because I got to bring another car in, and I also set the front ride height with some spacers, and it's all according to the Mustang specifications. I got everything pretty close to an alignment as far as camber and caster, toe and all that. The front, not so much. I didn't mess with the towing, but I'm not too worried about it. Still haven't figured out a cross member for the center, but I was kind of wanted to wait to see about what I'm going to do for a gas tank. Still have to put the sway bar mounts in back here. So this cross member, I think I'm going to end up moving back. But again, I'm trying to figure. I haven't figured out what I'm doing about exhaust in a gas tank. I don't know. I kind of was thinking, why not do a saddle tank? But I'd have to do a crossover on the exhaust somewhere, and then run both exhausts down here and somewhere in here. So lots to think about, lots to try to figure out yet, but it's come along pretty good. Everything's fitting pretty well. Body's sitting on the frame just like the factory had it. I have to figure out what I'm doing back here. There's a sway bar that comes pretty far back, so I'm sure it'll be in the way of a gas tank. And I'm not sure I want the gas tank back here. I definitely don't want a floor fill. It's just, if you put anything in the back or you got stuff back there and you're traveling and you gotta put gas in, it's just in the way. So I don't really want to do that. But as far as alignment goes, the tires fit really well. Pretty even on both sides. Squared up pretty good. I'm thinking I could almost run the exhaust right over the top of all that, right out the front, come out the back here, notch out this cross member, and then fill in this with an exhaust outlet. Maybe a license plate hanging down over here, maybe even have a flip up so when you park it flips up. Kind of keep it clean. We got plenty of room for exhaust coming through below that cross member. I was almost thinking maybe a saddle tank here. I mean, it's not a lot of room. Have to be narrow, but there's plenty of length. And then just, you could almost come down with the exhaust right here and tie in, or not tie in, but have even duals go back. A couple mufflers mounted maybe like that, and then come across. I could still notch this for exhaust pipes so I have a little more clearance. or if I run it straight back with duals, I could do a, you know, H pipe or Y or whatever down under here, and then sweep back up, and then go straight out with duals all the way out the back. So there's a lot of options. As far as the, I was thinking about the booster. I could mount a remote booster in here. I want to see how much room it would take up, how big they would be. But overall, I think it's coming along pretty good. Everything's fitting well. It's not quite centered. I don't know if that's the engine or my cross member. I'm sure it's my cross member. Isn't quite centered, but it's not going to hit anything, I don't think. I guess I could modify it if I had to. But, and then those cross member pieces under there, that works out good. Still got plenty of ground clearance. So that's going to be it for a while. I'm going to pull it out of the garage and clean up a little bit. I don't really like how this mounts on my lift. I mean, it does grab it. It does seem stable, but those arms, I wish they kind of were a little longer. I had set the spacing of the max jacks for the big Galaxy I had in here, so it needed to be out further. I could probably go in a little bit and re-drill some holes. But it does grab it, and it does grab it by the frame, and it does seem pretty stable. But if I'm doing any work under there, I'm definitely going to put those extra stands I had gotten underneath the front and rear of the frame. So I think we're pretty good here. The front end's pretty strong. If I redo the booster, I would just cut this right out. I never really liked how that came out. And then just put maybe a slave or master cylinder reservoir here and have a master cylinder inside, and then another reservoir for a booster with a master cylinder mounted on that underneath the floor. And then you just have two reservoirs. I want it so you can get to the reservoirs. I don't want to be climbing under the dash and all that nonsense to fill or check fluids. So I might do something like that. I'm going to check out those electric boosters. Then all I need is a wire. I don't need any vacuum lines. So I think it's going to be it for a while. I got another project coming in. It's pretty cool though. It's going to be a '69 Mustang for a paint job. So I'm going to put this away for a little while. Check belts, you know, hopefully check back, you know, in a few months. We'll be back on it.